Hi, my name's Cameron Carlson with AnimeOnLocation.tv. I'm here at Matsuricon 2022 with my good pal, Mr. Kevin Bolk.
Hello, missed you, buddy.
I've missed you a bunch, my friend. So it's been a long time since you and I got the chance, thanks to unpleasant COVID. We're still making sure we're safe here at the convention, as you can well see.
I'm gonna do branding though, so like, you know.
Yeah. So how have things been since the last time I got the chance to talk to you? I believe it was, oh man, it's been a while. 3 years since the last time.
Yeah. Mostly it was a lot of kind of a. COVID kind of gave me a really good, like, just before the whole COVID thing hit, I had some family issues, like with my folks, and like my dad having heart attacks and things. You need to be kind of helped out and taken care of with the family business stuff. So like, it gave me a good chance to be able to like help them out, like all the downtime, and then also kind of level up my own work because I felt like I was getting in kind of a rut. So having the downtime has been a really, but not pleasant in a lot of ways, but it's been good, and it gives you a chance to kind of like train. You know, have your own like 3-year-long training montage. And also, like, again, helping out family and that kind of stuff. So
we got to do a montage.
Montage.
All right, now you're working on some awesome Saturday morning tarot deck.
Yep.
Tell us how that's been coming along.
Yeah, it's been going fantastic. We're actually currently, right now, the big thing is we want to crowdfund it, right? And I've never done a Kickstarter for. I've always been really big on either like funding it myself or pre-orders. But something this big, we're going to finally take that leap and do it, but I did not know how involved the crowdfunding stuff could really be. So really the past year has been like, you know, the art was easy. It's the getting the crowdfunding stuff together that's been like, oh Lord, what do we do? But you know, we're finally starting to figure out. I'm getting to work on. We've drawn the entire major arcana. If you're familiar with tarot, there's 22 major arcana. Right. Those are done. And then we want to do the rest of the deck, which is like 55 cards. That's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot of time. Yeah. So, you know, getting that crowdfunding going so that like it can cover other bills and things while because I won't be able to do commissions. I'll be working solely on this. Yeah. So it's got to cover that. It's got to cover production costs. It's got to cover, you know, God forbid, taxes. Yeah. Making sure people get paid properly for any help we get on it, things like that. And it's all new to me. So like, but I'm learning a lot. So it's been it's been educational, if a little painful, but still fun throughout the entire process.
Yeah, because I love looking at them, man. Oh, yeah. So what were some of the ideas and what brought you along to spark to start working on that deck to begin with?
So the idea had been kind of germinating for like a really long time. Mostly, I think the first one, I was thinking about Captain Planet would be, how Captain Planet would be just perfect for the world. And that was just where it started. And it kind of was germinating in my head, and occasionally, like, you know, a couple months would go by and I'd think of another one and like, oh, that would be cool too. And like, you know, but it's kind of like on the back burner. But like, you know, recently, again, after the kind of like the pandemic kind of helped me to kind of rediscover myself and what I really like doing. You know, I got to the point where it's like, I really like doing this kind of 80s retro throwback work. So it kind of brought it more to the forefront. But then, like, I was having a Facebook talk with somebody, and someone made an offhanded comment that, like, we were talking about G.I. Joe. Yeah. And if you remember Tomax and Zammot, the twins, like, they're big corporate guys, and they're like, you know what? Like, Tomax and Zammot would be the two of coins in a tarot deck, and that kind of sparked it back on. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to do this whole deck. And so, yeah, I just, like, the inspiration just kind of came out, like, you know, it was dribbling into all over the place. And we just, like, started furious raining down and sketching things. And, like, I had all those things like done up, and within like 2.5 months, just like all-nighters pulling, the inspiration just boom. So it's been really cool getting that done.
Nice. So now you have a great personality, looking at some old memorabilia, from comics to cartoons. Yeah. What has been one of the best places for you to find some of them? I know you come out to Ohio sometimes. Oh, yeah. You're over in Maryland, on the west side of Maryland, sometimes the east side of Maryland. Yeah. So where have been like some of your awesome finds? I'm an antique junkie, like flea market junkie for most of my life. But yeah, like out here in the Midwest, there's so many. Like, I was actually the Heart of Ohio was a really great one. There's the one near that, I think it's in Springfield. There's this antique mall that does a bunch of like a lot of retro Disney stuff. But like really, mostly just like I get a lot of my best stuff at yard sales. Really, like I do yard selling when the weather's nice, and like because like. You go to an antique dealer and like people, I mean, I find people either overcharge for stuff that's not really worth much and ridiculously undercharge for stuff that isn't. Worth a bunch. But yeah, and but you go to it's more of it's the treasure hunt aspect is more there where you can like find buried treasure for like, you know, here's 50 cents for like this sealed, you know, cereal promo that's worth like $50.
you know, and then just like, oh my gosh, and like, you know, I get nostalgic about it, and it's just it's fun. So yeah, I would say yard sailing, you know, and the flea market here there. But Western Maryland doesn't have as many. Like when I was living near Baltimore, there were flea markets up the wazoo. Now there's not so many in Western Maryland, unfortunately, but plenty of good antique malls though.
Alrighty. Now you also have a love for movies, be it classics and new movies. Where did this love of film come from?
Whoo! Probably from being a latchkey kid for a pair of Army parents. No, I mean, there was a lot of my parents were really big into movies and stuff, so that kind of got me on the road to that. And I wasn't a very athletic kid, as you can tell. So there was a lot of watching movies and cartoons and things, and like I know I've always wanted to do comics.
Yeah.
Pretty much since I was like 5 years old, I read my first Superman comic, and I was already like tracing Superman stuff when I was like little, and like the cinematic aspect of comics, how it ties into film, was a natural jumping from one to the other. So growing up, it just kind of became part of what I do creatively, and also a hobby, plus like sharing with people. So,
Yeah, I mean, I have a love for old movies as well.
Yeah.
So you also have still been doing your art and have done some fantastic work of the TMNT and other 80s D&D cartoon. How's it going? I mean, we can also see right here, you've got some of your cards if you want to pull them out and show them.
I've actually been getting really excited about some classic 80s and 90s wrestlers. Like that love kind of reignited because like I was really getting heavy into the really bright, 80s aesthetic, and WWF in those days was like especially Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah.
So like getting back into that, it sparked that love I used to have, because I kind of fell off it when they started doing like when Stone Cold Steve Austin showed up.
The Attitude Era.
Yeah, it just kind of bored me. I like things being silly and over the top. I've always been like, Flash Gordon is better than Star Wars. That's where my taste goes. So like naturally, I want the Ultimate Warrior, like jumping from the buckle to buckle and just going crazy, bright colors all over the place, like Sergeant Slaughter. Like it's like you're a wrestler in a GI Joe. How great is that? That kind of thing. I loved it. Yeah,
Yeah, you talked about your TMNT cards.
TMNT was fun because this isn't just the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's very specifically the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1991 Coming Out of Their Shells tour.
Yeah.
If you're familiar with it, it's the delightful trash fire, and I really like being able to do things that are like fun but also really obscure and crazy, and that really that is kind of the culmination of just how crazy, awesome, ridiculous that Ninja Turtles got in the 90s.
Yeah.
So that just fell right into where I was feeling at the time, kind of where I am now.
Yeah, and so one big thing for you in the last few years is your rebranding, as we talked about, and marketing with more of an 80s aesthetic. How did that come about?
That was mostly, okay, so like it was a lot of kind of self-discovery, because like I got like, when COVID hit and I was like, helping my family out and stuff, I kind of fell into a really like deep, like artistic, like kind of a depression, more or less. I mean, I've always struggled with depression, but this is a very specific, like, I didn't like it anymore, which is terrible, but I'm sure most people, artists have related that.
Right.
But I was thinking back to like all the conventions I've designed for, and every convention they ever asked me to do, like that DerbyCon and DaishoCon, God rest its soul. When they asked me to do that retro theme, and I got to just go nuts at that. That was when I was just the absolute happiest doing that kind of work. And I'm like, I have the freedom to, like, why don't I just do that? Pardon me. Yeah. So why don't I just do that? And so I just started playing around with it a little bit, and like I was realizing like, this is fun to do this, and I'm like, but even more so is finding the inspiration again, because then I was already antiquing, but I was like, you know what? Let's go look for more of this crazy, bright, like super 80s, early 90s aesthetic, like neons and pastels and all this crazy stuff, and like going out and hunting for that sort of look, like really got the creative engines burning. I'm just like, you know what? Let's go balls to the wall. Let's just do this. And so yeah, like just leaning into it heavily, and like I want to look like an old like I want my stuff to look like an old VCR VHS catalog, or like a Toys R Us flyer.
Yeah.
It brings you back to a really like special happy time for all of us, and kind of brings it into the modern era without like 'cause you don't want to look back. You don't want to be stuck in the past.
Right.
But it's nice to bring forward the things that that inspired you then, and then kind of rework it for a new era. And it's really crazy because like I figured, well, if I lean into this, it's only going to be like old, folks my age who would be into this, but like kids are loving this stuff. Which makes my day because I love that youthful energy and how excited people get for this stuff, especially since I loved it so much growing up.
I say because I'm a '90s kid that grew up with the '80s as part of, because my siblings were all from the '80s, so I latched onto that as well, and so I really love the '80s style of some stuff as well, especially the I'm looking at your Transformer stuff, and I'm always
people kind of miss that bright, hopeful, like energetic aesthetic. Like we're kind of tired of being sad and moody and gray. We want to get more color in our lives.
Yeah. So. No more brown and gray.
Yeah. Well,
So now you still love working on your short comic of My Own Mascot. How's it going for you, and how do you feel your thoughts about work? You express a lot of yourself in that comic. So sometimes it's you. It's really, truly Kevin that's coming out on the page through the mascot. But then there's other times where it's bubbly, it's fun Kevin. So how do you balance when you want to work on the comic? Because obviously you don't do it 24/7. It's more when I want to express myself. So how do you work on it and get yourself out there?
Well, usually, it used to be a weekly thing, and it was one of those kind of things that it got a little draining after a while. So I kind of scaled it back, and we're going to do it as the mood hits me. I'm not going to try to pull stuff out of me. And I found that since I've been doing that, I'm not producing as regularly, but the stuff that's coming out is a lot more quality because it's definitely it's coming out naturally. I'm not having to force it.
Yeah, it's more you.
Yeah, and so that's been really nice, and really the original purpose of those comics, when I started them, they were only meant to be warm-ups for other stuff.
Right.
And then they kind of picked up popularity that they just became a regular thing, and that's not what they were meant to be. They were meant to be something that just kind of happened organically. So having the break and having the freedom to be able to do them organically again has kind of made them a lot more. And also, I do a lot of experimenting with my style in those as well, different inking techniques, and I kind of made the transition from I used to stick mostly just traditional inking and penciling and then coloring on computer. Through that comic, I actually taught myself to ink digitally. So now, it's funny, people can't really tell, but this is all inked digitally now.
Okay.
Which again, that hadn't been that way for the longest time, and the comics kind of helped me, again, getting that inspiration out, but also developing that skill set.
Awesome. Now, you've worked on several well-known series for DC and Marvel Comics in your own style. What comic series would you love to tackle next? Be it either Dark Horse or what's the one with Spawn?
Image?
Yeah, Image. What other comic style would you like to take on?
Funny, unfortunately, I wish those had a bigger draw because I would love to do some of the really whacked out '90s comics like Wildcats, Jim Lee's Wildcats.
Yeah, Wildcats.
Oh yeah, because there's this. It's a really fun aesthetic to that, but no one would know what the heck it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But in the same vein, I'd love to do '90s X-Men, because that absolutely fits the vibe I've got. Fits the vibe I've got going here.
Yeah.
We go back to Pride of the X-Men, X-Men saving the day. But the '90s one is definitely where it's at. Again, especially with all the neon and
spandex.
Jubilee is just walking '90s. I love
Mallrats.
Oh yeah, exactly. Totally, guys.
I didn't blow up the VCR, I promise.
Yeah. I need to rewatch that. I seriously do. I miss it so much.
Okay, so kind of wrapping things up, where can we follow you online? And what other message would you love to give the fans that have kept up with your art? Because honestly, dude, I love your art. I post it everywhere. I just love everything you do. So for all the fans like me and all that, where can we keep up with you? And what do you want to say to all your wonderful fans?
Well, it's everything is at kevinbolk.com. It's just my name now. We kind of shuttered the Interrobang Studios for just because things going on. And it was nice. It was well done, but it was also it's still you're closing the chapter on a book of your life, and there's that bit of wistful melancholy. But you're getting the new stuff now has been great. Really, I guess I want to say again, thank you. Obviously, thank you is the big one. I know as you get older, you worry that you're not relevant anymore. It's just kind of a part of life, and it's nice to know that. It's nice to know that I haven't gotten there, and I worry because again, you don't want to. You worry that if you cling to the past, you become a relic. So I'm very careful to not cling to the past, but also kind of be again, bring it forward, and bring it into modern day and get people into that. And and I've been so happy with how all you guys have kind of like jumped on that and been all about it. I want to give a shout out to my friend Kay on Facebook, who much like you, she reblogs everything, and she messaged me being like, this new aesthetic you're going with, I love it. And she's a young lady, so she's been like, but cheerleading the whole thing. It's nice to know, like, cool, I'm not a dinosaur, or if I am a dinosaur, I'm a Dino Riders T-Rex. So I've got laser beams, so I'm still pretty cool. So like kind of forever young kind of deal. I really like it.
All right, Kevin, I love talking to you. Thanks so much for coming out and hanging out with me again. Thank you so much, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Take care.